Man, get up here in the Zoloft and get your head right.
Because of the climate crisis, we only have a few months left. I love that you support the Green Deal, but it's not getting rid of fossil fuel. It's not going to solve the problem fast enough. A Swedish professor saying, we can eat dead people, but that's not fast enough. So I think your next campaign slogan has to be this: we got to start eating babies. We don't have enough time. There's too much CO2. All of you, you're a pollutant. Too much CO2. We have to start now, please. You are so great. I'm so happy that you're really supporting the Green Deal, but it's not enough. Even if we would bomb Russia, we still have too many people, too much pollution. So we have to get rid of the babies. That's a big problem. Just stopping having babies is not enough. We need to eat the babies, and this is very serious. Please give a response.
Hey, what's up? And welcome to the Zoloft. Okay, y'all. And for the record, the only one in that room trying to fool people more than that woman talking about kid cuisine is AOC herself. AOC is fooling a whole new generation of folks with this climate change nonsense. It's like a reboot on decades-old environmental scare tactics. And if this stuff that they were talking about was really real, then the Earth would have been destroyed before the 21st century. According to the false neo-pagan prophets of environmentalism back in the day. Man, how gullible y'all to believe this stuff? Especially y'all who've been around long enough to hear it since back in the day. Y'all have lived through the times that they said the Earth was gonna end. You've seen the evidence that they're frauds, but you still believe them. You see these people going back and forth in their jets that they say are killing the planet with their emissions. But nope, you still believe them. You see them buying oceanfront properties, despite them telling you that the oceans are gonna rise up and swallow these beachfront properties. You watch them lie to you, and then believe them when they tell you that Republicans are lying to you. AOC is punking y'all more than the bogus baby eater ever had time to. And I'm looking at the parents of this new generation of environmentalists and how proud they are of them as they repeat the fears of their parents. While this really smart generation is overlooking that their parents are still here despite the fears that they were told back in the day. See, it was your parents' generation that was supposed to be wiped out in a climate crisis. Dang. And I think even at this point, it was your grandparents that was supposed to be wiped out in a climate crisis. Now, the Eat the Baby plant exposed a few things. Get in my belly. Oh, pollutant slipped out of my ozone. Oh, sandy earth. Get back in my ozone. Oh, spit in my nostrils like a shillelagh. Anyway, y'all, look. You thought that woman was for real. Why, liberals? Because you know deep down, even in your shallowness, that what this woman was saying ain't far outside of the scope of what y'all think. Because what she was saying is where your ideology leads, and you know it. And don't front, some of y'all were even considering it. To save the planet, could I really eat a baby? Of course not. It's crazy. Or is it? This woman may have been a plant, but what she's saying is based on the real behavior of Earth worshippers like you throughout history. People who have sacrificed their children for the favor of the Earth.
Human population growth has more than doubled in the past 50 years. The planet cannot sustain this growth. I realize this is a poisonous topic for politicians, but it's crucial to face. Empowering women and educating everyone on the need to curb population growth seems a reasonable campaign to enact. Would you be courageous enough to discuss this issue and make it a key feature of a plan to address climate catastrophe?
Well, Martha, the answer is yes. And the answer has everything to do with the fact that women in the United States of America, by the way, have a right to control their own bodies and make reproductive decisions.
Yes, I am so rethinking baby food right now.
And the Mexico City Agreement, which denies American aid to those organizations around the world that allow women to have abortions or even get involved in birth control, to me is totally absurd.
Don't think so? Virtually every one of you Earth worshippers are pro-abortion. And it's growing among you that postnatal abortion should be acceptable. Again, this ain't a new thing. Child sacrifice has been around for a long time. The Bible, yeah, that's right, the Bible has warned us of this for a long time. You know, that old book that you say can't possibly relate to today? And the reason why people end up doing this is because they follow false idols and false teachers, false prophets, false propaganda, and false politicians. They conform to the lies and then demand that laws be made to make it legal for them to do evil to other people. And the oppression gets even worse, like a vicious circle. And that's when God says, I'm gonna punish you by just letting you be you. And your way, the way that you want so bad, the way that you want others to live by, leads to destruction. As the word says, there's a way that seems right to a man, but it leads to death. There will be a crisis, but it'll be because of the lies you believe and promote, not because of the weather. Your covetousness that you want instituted to give the state power to steal from others because you think you'll benefit from it will bring destruction because you people want more and more because you're never satisfied. And this brings about the collapse of nations. Climate change ain't at fault for places like Venezuela, Greece, or North Korea. Or what's got people outside of our borders wanting to come here? The only climate that's really in crisis is the political climate. And you liberals are some serious toxic smokestacks of pollutants. The same political climate that you Democrats represent in is the same climate that these people are trying to run from. The conclusion of these things, the selfishness of people, brings about the sacrifice of children. Whether that sacrifice comes in the form of abortion, sacrificing them to sex trafficking, or eating them. It's happened all throughout history. And there's only been one time when the climate changed drastically because of man and his wickedness. And that was the flood of Noah's day. Other than that, we do not have the power, even the power of stupidity, to make the oceans rise up and overtake us. But we do have enough stupid power to believe things that would justify the sacrifice of children. And people can become powerfully stupid with selfishness. And that's when the word of God says, your foolishness is gonna have you eating your own kids. Like for example in Lamentations 4:10, with their own hands, compassionate women cooked their children who became their food when my people were destroyed. You are being suckered by parasites. Yeah, pun intended. They are bleeding you. Their bogus ideas don't make the earth greener. It makes their pockets greener. It makes these present day priests of Terra Temple more comfortable, as it always has since ancient times, as they tell you to sacrifice and make pretty promises or threaten you with punishment of how the earth will turn against you. It's the same stuff. And the Bible has warned us of these people for thousands of years. And the Lord is waiting on the generation that no longer has an excuse to not see how this works. And by the way, AOC, the compassionate, who later tried to save face by saying she was just being compassionate to a woman that she assessed to have mental problems. Excuse me, hold up. Did you just stigmatize this woman's dietary choices? If she likes to chew on children, ain't no shame in that according to your narrative. You need to check yourself for associating baby craving taste buds with a mental disorder. In the words of Greta Thunberg, how dare you? I mean, what she's talking about ain't any more crazy than using babies as furnace fuel, I suppose. You know, like they did at NHS Trust, Aiden Brooks in Cambridge, the Ipswich Hospital. Babies ain't for barbecuing, okay? But y'all, I know that AOC breathed out a big old sigh of relief when it was revealed that the infant eater was a plant. Because in that moment, I have a feeling she was thinking, how am I going to be a vegan ally while promoting baby buffets to save the planet? But for the record, AOC, you would have been able to sell it to them, since y'all only see a baby at any stage of development as a mass of cells. You would have just defined that mass of cells as probiotics. You know, for the new health fad marketing, claiming it's good for gut flora and the environment. Y'all, don't digest babies. Digest my book, A Solid Right Cross. It's good as is and don't need no sauce. Oh, pollutant slipped out of my ozone.